Few other things to think about with your visual schedules in terms of behavioral support. Schedule highly preferred activities after less preferred activities. Show individuals you do this thing that you don't like so much, like dinner, and then you get ice cream. And it's the same thing that we do for other kids that we'll say to them, right? Eat your dinner and you can have. Our students may not understand that. Let's show them visually. We can embed choices. So when I'm scheduling with a student, I put down, you have to make your bed, and then here are two things. What do you want to do next? You choose. Right? So I make a choice, you make a choice. I tell you what to do, you make a choice of what to do. Okay, so all kinds of things like that. You can address a number of skills in terms of your use of visual schedules. So this doesn't just have to be about showing kids what's going to happen, but you can teach a variety of communication skills. So I always set up schedules with the individual. And that's one of the things that when I talk about things where I go off, like say into a school and see something where I kind of go, it's where somebody sets the schedule up without the kids seeing, and then they just kind of go, and here's your schedule, which the kid may or may not understand all of that. So I always schedule with the person. And I say, first we're going to do this, let's put that in our schedule. Then we're going to do that, let's put that in our schedule. So we put the schedule together, the two of us, as opposed to me putting it together and then just showing you. And ideally, I have all of my symbols out and I say, first we're going to make our bed. Find that symbol, right? Where's make our bed? You find that. So you have to listen to me. You have to listen to what I say to you, and then you need to find the corresponding symbol, and that gives me a lot of information about what you understand when I'm saying stuff too. Okay? So you can work on that. You can work on time concepts, past, present, future, and time vocabulary, later, not yet, first, next, last. You can embed clock faces in your schedule. So you can have little symbols that show times, and I always use analog and not digital times in schedule. And that's because if you're trying to match a symbol with a digital time to a digital clock, you have 60 seconds for the kid to make the match. 60 seconds, because in 60 seconds, it's not 9:00 anymore, it's 9:01 and it's not the same. But with an analog clock, you've got a bit of wiggle room. Right? There's a little bit of wiggle room. And again, I've used this with kids who cannot tell time, but they can match. So long as they can go, oh yeah, this picture is the same as that clock up there, we're good. Okay? And I've literally had kids where as soon as I put times in their schedule, they would transition on time. If there were no clocks and I said it's time, freaked out. But as soon as the clock was there, oh, the clock says, oh, okay. It's kind of that whole the paper says versus I say. Right? We can also work on basic early literacy skills. Top to bottom, left to right. Basic way of setting up your schedule. Set up your schedule so that you read your schedule like you read print. Right? That's an early literacy behavior. Always have text on your symbol or photographs. Expose kids to text. I have had kids that learn a number of sight words just from having those sight words on their symbols. Okay, so those are some basic things that you can still teach. So you're not just doing a schedule, you're teaching other skills. For specific activities that you're trying to teach, you can use activity schedules that are within activities. So this is about, here's one task and all of the steps for that task. So the washing hands, right? And this is now everywhere. Every public washroom you go into has one of these, right? I often will be taking pictures because I'll use them for class examples. I'll be in public washrooms taking pictures of the how to wash your hand thing. But they're everywhere. And it's just simply what do you do first, second, third, and make sure that you do all of the steps. This is an example I used for a student getting dressed at the public swimming pool when he went with an SCA. And he needed to go into a cubicle in the family change room, and she went into a cubicle in the family change room. Well, what would happen when she was in her cubicle is that he'd end up like, coming out of his cubicle, half dressed, running around, jumping up and down on stuff, having a great old time, right? And that's not what you do in the change room. So we made this, put some magnet on the back. He would go into his cubicle, slap it up, and oh yes, here are the things that I'm supposed to do. And in particular, pack up your stuff, right? It's not your EA's job to come in behind you and clean up your wet clothes that you've dropped all over the floor, okay? And if you're done before your EA is finished dressing, wait, sit. That's what you do. You don't run around the change room. And again, for him, once we provided him that information and a couple of sessions where we prompted him through it to make sure he was doing it, we were good to go. She went to change, he went to change, and they met back out afterwards. I made this one for a student with autism who was going to his first birthday party, and it was a bowling birthday party. And the thing about bowling is this whole idea that you have to roll multiple balls down, and when are you actually done, right? And so for him, this was actually a triangle kind of paper, so it would stand up on its own. We made it so that it would fold up and stand. And it has bowl 1, bowl 2, bowl 3, right? Bowl 3 times, and then you sit. And he would take it up with him, up to the front where you get your bowling ball, and he would set it there. He would take a ball, he would roll it, and during the 5-minute interlude, while the ball slowly makes its way, right? Kids and bowling, he would fold down the first flap. Now I've got 2 balls left, he'd bowl the second one, he'd fold that one down, then he'd roll the third one, fold that flap down, and then go sit and take his paper with him. And then you lift up all of the things to get ready for your next one. And he took that to the bowling party and did just fine, right? No adult needed to sort of stand there and remind him, right? He could just go up like the rest of the kids. Making lunch, making a sandwich, right? Parents who want their children, moms, right? Wives who want their spouses, right? Husbands who want their spouses. It's usually the moms who want everybody else making their lunch, right? Here's a step-by-step, right, for peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it all depends. This is always my, how picky are you? Right, I'm one of those people, wipe the knife off before you stick it in the other jar, right? Those kinds of things. Yeah, some of us are more picky than others. But that's what a within activity schedule looks like. Again, really useful in teaching tasks to people. And if we're trying to teach kids how to do a specific task, like get dressed independently, brush your teeth, clean up your toys, make a sandwich, make your bed, any number of tasks, we can make a within activity schedule. Your goal, however, is to do a better job than IKEA, right? IKEA does not make great visual schedules, right? IKEA makes very convoluted visual schedules. How many of us have fought with the IKEA directions and gone, you have got to be kidding me, right? So do better than IKEA, but that's essentially what you're doing. That's what IKEA gives you, right? Here you bought this fabulous dresser. Here's the book with 47 steps to making the dresser. Right? You want to make not 47 steps to a task, but that's essentially what you're doing. What's step 1, step 2, step 3 to achieve this outcome, okay? So if you're going to create these kinds of schedules, start with a task analysis, and your task analysis is, first, what's the task, and then what are the individual steps? So if we're talking about dressing, for example, underpants, pants, shirt, socks, so on and so forth. What I always suggest people do when they do a task analysis is to test it themselves. So once you've made a task analysis, a set of steps, actually do the task, but only follow the steps as you've written them. That will let you know if you've missed a step or not, right? Because we're pretty skillful, and so sometimes we'll just kind of sneak in a part of a step that we haven't written down, right? We think that this one description covers the step, but there's actually more to it than what we wrote down. So you want to make sure that you've described the steps clearly. So try your own task analysis first, and then if it's all good, create your visuals for that task, right? And then teach it.